Welcome back, Raider Nation. It's Joseph for Zenny 62. So we have some interesting news coming out of the NFL. So what was announced is that starting this Monday, they're doing some new changes to the intro to the Monday Night Football fanfare. Back in 2017, they reintroduced the theme song for Monday Night Football and brought back Hank Williams Jr. And that song was called All My Rowdy Friends. Now, that had disappeared in 2011, was brought back in 2017. Now, in 2020, they have changed that. And the reason why the NFL, quote unquote, is changing that, it's because they're claiming that since the stadium is not going to be full of fans or limited fans, they don't want to give that optics of all my rowdy friends because of the COVID-19 situation. And instead, they're going to replace that with a variation of Little Richard's Rip It Up. So, just on the surface, let's take those two songs together. So, you're going to remove one song called All My Rowdy Friends and replace it with another song called Rip It Up. Kind of seems like in the same vein to me because, frankly, the NFL is sugarcoating the real reason why they're taking out Hank Williams Jr. introduction. It's taken this long to take it out since 2017, and I'll tell you the real reason. The real reason is Hank Williams Jr. is a Confederate flag, racially insensitive human being that called President Barack Obama Hitler, called him a Muslim, and essentially called him a terrorist that doesn't believe in the Black Lives Matter movement, who doesn't believe that institutional racism exists, who believes in a right-wing agenda. Now, whether that's a white supremacist agenda, there's many people that feel that it is. You know, here you have someone who supports Donald Trump and his agenda, and we see that Donald Trump doesn't call out the neo-Nazis, the KKK, or the white supremacists. He actually takes campaign funds from them and doesn't disavow them, and in actuality calls them good guys. So here you have a performer that supports that agenda and has been racially insensitive. You can only assume that he's one of those racists as well. And that's the that's the real reason why the NFL is taking out Hank Williams Jr. out of the Monday Night Football intro. That is the real reason. Now, it's unfortunate that it's taking the NFL 3 years to acknowledge that, when in actuality they thought when it was first removed, that song was removed in 2011 for all his racially insensitive comments. And they brought it back after Donald Trump was elected. So the NFL thought, oh, it was okay. People are not going to look at us anymore because now we have Donald Trump as president and he believes in this agenda of racial inequality and calling out people of color. So let's put it back in there. No one's going to mind because now we have Donald Trump as president. So let's put Hank Williams Jr. back in our Monday night intro. Now, fast forward to 2020, we see what has happened in the last 4 years since Donald Trump has taken office. We've had crime go up against minorities, black people specifically. You had him make fun of everybody who doesn't look like him or doesn't support him. And you have Hank Williams Jr. support that. You have Donald Trump that called the NFL players who kneeled animals and called people who believes in the Black Lives Matter movement terrorists, but yet doesn't say that about the KKK who hangs black people, the neo-Nazis who have this white-only racist agenda, the white supremacists. Doesn't call them out, and in fact calls them good guys. And then you have an artist like Hank Williams Jr. that supports Donald Trump. And you're going to have him do the intro to Monday Night Football in 2020. They did it because they're afraid of what you're going to think about the NFL. I question why they did it, because that's, in my point of view, that's the only reason why they did it. Now, the NFL is trying to do all the right things, at least on paper, because they know that business is going to hurt if they don't move with the tide of society. Because society has basically had enough of the racial inequality, the hatred that the Trump administration is putting out. And so they're making these subtle moves and trying to divert the reason why they're doing that. I just wish the NFL came out and said, hey, we don't like what's going on in our society, and we're going to start focusing more on doing the right things because we see that you are watching us. And that's the case, is that we're watching the NFL. The NFL, we're watching you. Everybody's watching you. Everybody's watching every move you make. And they're going to decide moving forward how to take action. You need to be part of the solution, not part of the problem. Therefore, that's one of the steps that they decided to take. Now, let's hope this is not just because it's a business decision. Let's hope that they did realize that it's more of a moral decision that helps the bottom line for them. So it's taking 2020 for them to come around to see what's going on in our society. Let's hope moving forward they continue to do that. I know many of you are going to hate this video because many of you hate the truth, that want to live in a bubble. You know, as long as you don't know what's going on outside your bubble, you're safe. But the fact of the matter, it affects you as much as anybody else. Don't be afraid of the truth. Keep it here on Zenny62, and don't forget to like and subscribe.